Hello, guys. You know what this is? This is a ticket for the Europa League final in Lyon. Block 117, row 27, seat 330. It's for sale, actually. €100 it cost me. For any Marseille, or looks like it's going to be Marseille, that game's still going on, or Atletico fans watching. Don't know what I'm going to do with that. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Sorry that it's dark in here tonight. It's night time. That's what happens. And it's a dark night, really. Dark feelings. Look, we lost to a team who are better than us in most areas. It's a curious thing, isn't it? We were, probably, over the two legs, we were the better side. And yet, they are the better side. Don't know if that makes any sense, but we played beyond our potential. We played about as well as I think we could have hoped for across the two games. I know people are disappointed in tonight's performance. I don't know what you expected away to Atletico Madrid. I didn't think it was going to be better than that, really. But they just were more decisive, more clinical, more efficient at both ends of the pitch. There are some great examples of that. I mean, Griezmann was sensational on the break in both games. Took us apart whenever he got an opportunity to. What about, was it Gabby, who I think brought down Danny Welbeck? Welbeck had burst past him, was almost through. I mean, I think he was beyond the last man, albeit 40 yards from goal. Gabby just cynically took him out on a yellow. And then you compare that to, I think it was Griezmann, going through, well, certainly in the first leg with Koscielny. And then the second leg as well, Monreal couldn't get back to him, didn't bring him down until he was right on the edge of the box. You know, when it got to the 86th minute of the game, they took the ball in the corner. I don't think I've ever seen an Arsenal team take the ball into the corner that early in a match. 4 minutes, 5 minutes, well, probably about 8 minutes, including stoppage time from the end. But they do what it takes. A bit like Real Madrid in the Champions League, they just have that capacity to churn out these results. So it's a sad night. I really hoped that we would have the glorious farewell for Arsene Wenger. But as lots of people have said online, he's had plenty of opportunities in the past to go away on a high. He hasn't taken them. He spoke about himself as a Russian roulette player. Well, when you play Russian roulette, eventually you come a cropper, eventually you lose. And he will leave Arsenal at the end of his worst season. 6th place finish at best. No silverware. Out of the Champions League. You can't argue with the timing of the decision in terms of letting him go. I mean, it's just a shame that he won't get that glorious send-off. But maybe it's appropriate. Maybe it's right. Football's like politics, isn't it? You don't go out on top. You don't really go out a winner. Very rarely happens. Sir Alex Ferguson, I think, is pretty much an anomaly in that respect. Guys, for Laurent Koscielny. I do wonder, his Achilles appears to have ruptured tonight, and that's been on the cards for a long time. I mean, how much of a factor was that in what we saw in the first leg with his mistake? There was an incident just before he got injured where Costa bullied him off the ball, went beyond him, and I don't know if you remember it, but Koscielny's like pointing at Monreal to get back at Costa. He can't either. But I was watching it thinking, why is Koscielny pointing at Monreal to get back? Can't he get back? His Achilles must have been tight then. Within a few minutes, it went. That's his World Cup over. Very sad. He doesn't deserve that to miss the World Cup. He's been a fantastic servant. He's been playing through the pain. And unfortunately, he's now paid the consequences. The goal, well, Hector Bellerin had a dreadful night, and he's obviously at fault on that. The positioning of our fullbacks is probably one of the great failures of the last 10 years of Arsene Wenger's reign. And arguably it cost us in both legs. I mean, Monreal was too deep, wasn't he, when playing Griezmann on side. Then Bellerin too high. That's the more traditional Arsenal fullback defensive error. Costa got in. Costa was fantastic as well. I mean, we don't like him, but part of the reason we don't like him is that he's good. When Bellerin went in to challenge him, he just shrugged him off the ball so easily. As for Ospina, It looks like he just goes to ground and sort of says to Costa, just put it over me, makes himself even shorter than normal. I've watched it back a couple of times. I think Costa does him with the eyes. I think he feints to shoot near post, and that's why Ospina goes down. I don't like Ospina very much as a goalkeeper, but I don't think he's quite as bad as just lying on the floor for no reason. Not quite. Close, not quite. But, until that point in the first half, we had put on the pressure, and we put on some pressure in the second half. Pressure is an interesting way of putting it. Did we put on pressure? We got into good areas, but we didn't make the most of them. I think I heard on BT Sport that we put 20 crosses into the box, 2 found Arsenal players. Some were just wild from Bellerin and Monreal over the far post, out of play. There was a few of those, too many. Others were cutbacks, and those cutbacks, some of them were pretty good. Ozil put a couple of good ones in. Not good enough, though. Too often Arsenal players in the box were on their heels, rather. Danny Welbeck, we know that's his game. He's not got the movement of a goal scorer, really. And I think Atletico's defending was outstanding. It's easy to say Arsenal didn't find their men in the box, but you have to give some credit and say Atletico got to everything. It's bias. It's bias. We look at our own team. When Callum Chambers, and who was fantastic, I thought, for the most part, as a substitute, I feared for him when he came on, but had one of his best Arsenal games. But when he gets a block on something, a cross that comes to the box, or heads it away, we say, well done, Chambers, that's great defending. Godin clears it at the other end, Godin rather, and we say, poor cross. It's a bit of both. They were better than us in that box. They were better than us in both boxes, and that's kind of the story of the tie. And what are we left with? I suppose we're left with somewhat meaningless Premier League games. Arsene Wenger's career will finish at Huddersfield. I can't be at Huddersfield. I can't be at Burnley. I'm going to go to Leicester, just so that I've got another Wenger game before he goes. Ask him about Park Ji-sung, in the press conference. My last chance. Ask him, why did you buy Park? But in all seriousness, it will be very strange. And we missed Alexis Sanchez tonight. I'm going to say that. It's not going to be a popular opinion, but we were one attacking player shy. We took a gamble in January where we sold Alexis, Walcott and Giroud, and we brought in Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang. We did that knowing that Aubameyang could not play in the Europa League. To be honest, I wonder if we did that half expecting to go out of the Europa League rather than get past Milan and it all open up for us. But when we did that, we robbed ourselves of an attacking player in Europe. That's what we did. And had we had Aubameyang tonight, or Alexis, or Giroud, or Walcott, it would have made a difference. Mkhitaryan came on, but he's not a forward. He's a midfield player, really. Eddie Nketiah was the striker on the bench against Atletico Madrid, away from home. Wasn't an ideal situation, was it? So, yeah. Our season ends there. Mesut Ozil, I better touch on that. Sorry if this is a bit longer and slower than usual. There's a lot to take in. Mesut Ozil has been heavily criticised by Martin Keown tonight. I actually thought he was okay. He wasn't as influential as he was in the first leg. None of the players were. They had 11 men this time. It was much more difficult. But when he found space in the box, he generally put in dangerous balls. He was one of the few players who looked like he might make something happen. But I understand why he infuriates people, and I think it's not personal. I think it's because he's emblematic of what people don't like about this Arsenal team. Because he's all of one thing and none of the other. Because he's all about attack, possession, creativity. He doesn't have any of that nuance, any of that devil that Atletico have in spades. Get you a manager who can do both. That's what I say. A little from column A, a little from column B. That would be nice. I'm going to leave it there, guys. It's a sad evening. But yeah, Europa League ticket final. Europa League final ticket for sale. Inquiries within. €100 or nearest offer. Bye.